and I'll start the recording soon.
There are a lot of people registered for this class. Some are in Australia.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna do the clap.
Joe is texting. He says the Zoom is not working. Hold on, let me just send him the link.
So we're recording now too?
Yeah.
And we are live on YouTube. All these high-tech stuff. Thank you to Annie. Thank you, Annie, for setting all this up for us. And thank you, everyone that is live and listening in the future. Does it get better than this?
Yeah, how does it?
Yeah. Tonight's call is on the art of receiving. So I just want to say before we start that if anyone listens to this that is not familiar with Access Consciousness, we will be using the tools of Access Consciousness, and we will be using the clearing statement, which is right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POD, POC, shorts, boys and beyonds, which doesn't make any logical sense to your brain, but it's like the magic wand to delete all the limitation in the different areas that we will be bringing up energy. And you can find out more information at theclearingstatement.com. You don't have to understand it for it to work. So if you're just willing to listen, play with it, and it's designed to lighten up your world. So you might notice that a lot of the heaviness that you had possibly coming on this call and around the topics that we talk about goes away. Does it get better than that? Yeah.
So I just like I'd like to introduce everyone. This is Christine DiDomenico, and she's been a certified facilitator of Access Consciousness for over, I want to say 10 years, 19 years, 13 years, 19 years. Where did that come from? Yes, and she's created so much in the area. And Nicole, what happened? Oh, there you are.
Oh, I'm here.
Two Nicoles.
Yes. Oh, because I'm looking at everybody on the computer and I have my phone on as well. I duplicated myself.
I know. How does it get any better?
I got so busy. I realized that, oh my goodness, there's a way to duplicate myself.
And Nicole Kim is also a certified facilitator. And we actually took certified facilitators together. So really excited. And she's in near Long Island City. And my name is Annielettemay, and welcome to the Art of Receiving. So who wants to start?
If anybody has any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat, as Annie said in the chat, or you can come off mute and ask your questions.
Hi, Sabina. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Manuela. Leslie, Jenny, Donna, Adele, Lori. Joe's here as well. Okay, you made it.
Cool. So what is receiving? I mean, yeah, what is receiving? And everything that just brought up, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, poc, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
Yeah. What is receiving? And what do you already know about receiving that you haven't acknowledged?
I wonder. Brought up. What are you destroying? I created.
Right, wrong, good, bad, papa, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Oh gosh. So one of the things that I became aware of recently is what we have decided receiving is. So anybody want to say what they think, what they've decided that receiving is?
Well, I do. I have a story
Okay, go.
that happened today. So it's actually about like receiving judgment. And so I was doing all these Thanksgiving Day shopping. So for anyone outside of the US, Thanksgiving is this week, and it's basically we have a lot of food and a lot of family gatherings. So I'm doing all my shopping today, and I'm dressed like a mom with like 3 kids hanging on top of her, and it's just me. So I noticed that there's a difference in the way that I get treated when I am being that persona, that stereotype of a mom, and all the judgments that I receive from that. So that when I'm not receiving the judgment, then people are like, hey, lady, handle your kids. And when I am receiving judgment, it's like, hey, can I help you? Is there anything you need? Oh, your kids are so cute. They're adorable. They're little angels. So, what if you can receive from judgment and make it more ease this holiday season?
So I think it's really new to a lot of people. Like being able to receive judgments is so contrary to what we are used to in this society, or the way we've been living our life. So Annie, would you just say a little bit more about that? Like what is it? Who would love to be criticized or receive judgments? You know what I mean? Like some of people who are present here on this call may have this like crazy negative reaction to it, even listening to what you just said.
Well, Gary, the founder of Access and co-creator, he's always talking about how when you receive judgment, you're making $5,000 more. And when you're resisting or reacting or basically not receiving judgment, you're losing $10,000. So what if judgment is just an energy and it has nothing to do with you? And everything that brings up, we're just trying to create it.
Right, wrong, good, bad, papa, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
And do you have anything to say about that, Christine?
When a lot of things we've been taught have been that, like, not to receive, to be in defense and put up our walls and protect ourselves or have boundaries. And all of that creates no receiving. All right. So we think we have to put up these walls to not having judgment, or to, so somebody doesn't hurt us, and all these lies that we've just bought. And all that does is it closes down our receiving of anything. So if you take this big picture of receiving, if you stop your receiving in one area of your life, it stops receiving in other areas of your life. So every time you go to defend yourself or avoid being judged, so you say something that may not really be you, but you say it because you don't want to be judged, then it's like you shut down. You're taking this infinite being that we are, and we shrink ourselves to be less and to receive less. So the first thing that we can do is, and to create the greatest change, is to be willing to receive the judgment. But that's only if you want more money or more fun or more joy. So if you don't want any of those, just forget what I said. But if you'd like to increase what's showing up in your life, in any area of your life, then you have to be willing to receive judgment. You have to be willing to drop the walls, put down the fists, and not receiving is not taking it on. All right. Some people may think that is like, well, if I don't protect myself, then I'm going to be affected by that judgment. Well, the truth is, and tap into the energy of this for yourself, is this light, is that when you drop your barriers, all of that judgment can just go through you or around you, like you're the rock in the stream. It can't affect you. And when you are avoiding the judgment, like the story Annie talked about, is that judgment, it just is like this ping pong. It just keeps pinging back at you. And it makes it greater and greater and greater. The judgment gets larger when we are unwilling to receive the judgment.
So in any way, every way, you made judgment wrong and made it that you're unwilling to receive it. Will you destroy and uncreate all times gazillion, please?
Yes.
Right, non good, bad, papa, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. So I was organizing a event with a friend, and my friend started accusing me of being controlling. Oh my God, what do you mean? I have to call people. No, I don't have time for that. She was telling me that. Now, our event was supposed to start like that night. And I thought that maybe we could reach out to people and follow up with them, make sure they have their address and all the details. So when she started accusing me, I got defensive. I was like, what? What do you mean? I wasn't trying to control anything. How could you even say that, right? So like immediately the energetic wall came right up, so high, so thick, right? Like me being in that defensive mode. And then I called myself and I was like, oh my goodness, walls down and barriers down. And I just took a big breath and I was like, you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm a bitch. I'm a fucking controlling bitch. And she was like, oh, and she couldn't say anything anymore. And I was able to just breathe and I was able to just stay in that conversation. Now, that's not a normal conversation for me to be able to say that I'm a controlling bitch when my friend was accusing me of that, especially when I believed that I wasn't that, you know? And it actually created a space for us to actually talk. And guess what she said? She goes, first, she was like in the awe after she heard me saying that. And she was like, you know what, Nicole, I'm so sorry. I'm a fucking bitch. So we started laughing and we hugged each other, and we were able to, start figuring out how to do everything about the event that we were hosting together. So you see, like you experience this, all you guys, in your own life, like how much energy does it require for you to put up that wall to defend yourself against the criticism or judgment? But have you practiced of just receiving and letting the walls down? And the first couple of seconds may be like crazy uncomfortable, but right away you would know that, oh my goodness, it's actually really effortless to bring the walls down and really receive that judgment.
And that's when change occurs too. Change doesn't occur when we have our walls up, when we are in defense. Change occurs when we're willing to be that space, just like Nicole was willing to be in that situation. That's what creates change. That's what creates somebody showing up different. And this is a very timely conversation with Thanksgiving coming up and the other holidays where you will maybe with family, and how much do we filter ourselves around family so that they don't judge us, or we be this persona or stereotype of what they expect us to be and what we've been always with our family. And what if this year it could be different?
Yeah. And when people praise us, and I think for me it was really hard to receive the praises. Someone would say, "Oh wow, the shirt you're wearing is really nice," or "You look great today." I'd be like, whatever. No, I'm not looking good today. Like, you see, like I couldn't even receive the compliments. So how many times do we reject and repel against these compliments in our lives?
We've been trained to, it's better than to give than to receive. So everything we bought about that, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Right and wrong, good, bad, pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
And I'm glad you brought this up, because that's a great area to start to practice receiving. I used to be so resistant to receiving help from people. I'm independent. I can do it myself. I don't need anybody's help. I can open the door by myself. Well, what if you actually started receiving the gift that people would like to give to you, whether it's help with something or a compliment? And what if you just say thank you? Would you be willing to just say thank you and not have to defend, oh no, I don't look good, or I don't need help, or whatever it is?
And after this call, you really notice the wall that you put up in your life. Like when people compliment you or say nice things to you, you notice how much you have put up that wall against all the praises. So when you notice that, you could just tell yourself, you know what? I'm just going to receive right now in this second, and just literally bring the walls down, barriers down, and go like arms out, receive. I receive fully, right?
Yeah.
So how about that if you could practice it every day?
And can everyone perceive the energy that Nicole was just being with the receive it? And when you're fully receiving someone and receive them as the gift they are, then can you actually change the situation? Like what Nicole was talking about when she was with another facilitator, just being vulnerable and barriers down and talking with her in a space where she's receiving all of these like accusations and all of that judgments, whatever, and receiving her as the gift. And that changed the situation.
And anywhere you've defined vulnerability as weakness, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Right on,
Yes.
good, bad, pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
What if vulnerability is really the power and the potency that you are? That willingness to put your walls down. And you can only receive everything if you are willing to be vulnerable. And again, vulnerability is like you're the rock in the stream. Excuse me. You're like the rock in the stream. Everything goes around you. Nothing can affect you. So what if with your family during the holidays, you just be that space of letting them be whoever they are or whoever they're choosing to be? Where in the past, maybe you would be reactive to them or put your defenses up. And what if this holiday season, you can just be, wow, that's really interesting. So interesting point of view. Interesting choice they're making. Interesting that they said that. Interesting that they did that. That's the space of receiving with no point of view.
So this is Karen. Can I interrupt and ask a question?
Sure.
Yes.
I am this happy-go-lucky kind of person. I just kind of bebop along, in life, and all of a sudden I meet up, especially around the holiday season. People are stressed, they're not so friendly, and I bump up against, like they'll make a snarky comment, or some people can't eat the foods that you do, and we have to watch our weight, and have diabetes and things like that. And I just in my bebopping along, I said, oh, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And then that's the last thing they want to hear, right? They don't want you to solve a problem. They just want to complain. So I don't realize that. And then I get bopped down, and so how do I not just react? How do I just stop for a moment, receive the energy behind what their words are, and then ask the questions, how, what can they receive here? Because I don't do that. I just kind of bebop along and, and I bump into these things. So any suggestions?
Well, I have a question for you.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, Karen. How much do you like to be right?
A lot. Uh-oh.
What if you didn't have to be right? Would that change anything?
That would change probably a lot.
Yeah. So what I have found is that when people are, complaining or whatever, and if you ask them a question, like, what if you could change that? Then you'll be able to you'll have more information, and you'll get more of the energy of what they can receive. And maybe you ask it a couple of times as they go into their story. And if they don't bite, like ask you a question or say, what do you mean? Then that usually is an indication that they don't want anything. They don't really desire any change. They'd like to just be in there complaining. So that's kind of a way to be in the world too, instead of where we've been taught to help people and give them advice and help them change, and that help, that superior help. If you go to a question instead, you'll have more information to lead you to, is there more space for something else or not? And if they don't bite, they don't ask a question, then would you be willing to just let them be miserable?
No. I had to work on that one too.
So everything that is, we destroy and not create it.
Yes.
I'll make the black shorts boys meons. I have had such experiences with being where I wanted to be right so much. I wanted to give advice. I want to help, my kids, and not, save them from their suffering and all of that. For years, I did that, and it didn't change anything. When I got to the space of letting people choose what they choose, even if it's destruction, that's when they actually chose change. Now, it doesn't mean they will choose change when you're that space to just receive all of them, but you opened the door and you created this space for them to choose it if they would like to choose it. So everything you've all done to be right, to help people, to project all your points of view at people that have not allowed you to receive you in totality, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome. Do you like to be right or do you like to be happy? You can help them elevate themselves with the question. Yes. And there, I've heard the saying in Access, do you want to be right or do you want to be free?
Don wrote, do you like to be right or do you like to be happy?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're working with a client, Karen, and if the person pays you and asks you to facilitate her or him, that's a different story, right? Then you'd be like really like bring out everything from your toolbox and really facilitate the person. But when the people in our lives, when they didn't ask for help, they're just, a lot of times I notice that people like to talk about their problems. And it doesn't mean just because you know better or you may think that certain things are beneficial for that person, it doesn't mean you should facilitate the person right there. You know, it's we totally get it. It's at times it's like, oh no, you know, that person doesn't have to suffer or be stuck with it. You know, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? But that's a big no-no when someone doesn't ask for facilitation or help. Yeah, don't do it.
So Nicole, so I teach Tai Chi, I teach energy medicine, I teach a lot of things, and so I guess people are always, even out of class, they're asking me questions. Now, understandably, the things that I was describing, they were not asking. You're absolutely right. So how do I like step back in other situations, because I am in that mode. I teach, 7 days a week, just about, not continually, but so I'm often in that mode, and people are often looking to me to ask questions. So I guess I just get into that. I'm comfortable with that. And stepping back and not facilitating my friends and family. And this is something I gotta watch, because I'm going to my daughters, and I don't want to, be facilitating. I just want to be, enjoy their company. So is there like a process or something I should be watching for?
Just don't do it.
Just don't do it. Just stop. That's the tool.
Or in any way, every way you chose to be that eternal facilitator that you are, will you destroy and uncreate all that, please?
That's a yes and a no.
Right now, good bad papa go shorts, boys and beyonds.
Wow.
So there's sorry, Nicole, go ahead.
Oh, so in Access, there's a saying, just because you're aware of something, it doesn't mean that you need to facilitate. Yes, Christine, go ahead.
So there's this new piece that Annie brought up about stereotypes earlier that is a brand new piece of information from Access Consciousness about how we have this stereotypical cadence. So a cadence is a rhythm, like certain dances have a certain cadence, songs have a cadence, and we create cadences. So all the stereotypical cadences you are using to choose the rightness of your point of view you are choosing, will you destroy and not create it?
Right now, good bad papa go shorts, boys and beyonds.
And all the stereotypical cadences you are using to be right, you are choosing, will you destroy and not create it?
Right now, good bad papa go shorts, boys and beyonds.
I'm laughing my ass off right here. You got me, Christine. Thank you very much.
And that's it, like the habits that we get into, like what you're talking about. Like, I keep doing this, I keep doing this, I keep doing this. That's a cadence. So that's a clearing you can run to start unlocking that.
My sister is on this call, and I used to offer advice. I thought I was helping her, contributing to her. So whenever she talks about certain issues in her life, I'd be like, oh my God, no, you can do this, you can do that. No, you don't have to suffer. Yeah, just do this. Why don't you do that? Like, I told you to do this. Why are you not doing that? You see how annoying that is? Have you ever seen those people in your life? Excuse me, did I ask for your advice? I was just complaining, and maybe I deserve to complain just for a few seconds. So in any way, every way, we don't allow the people in our lives a few seconds, a few minutes of venting. It's an allowance. You know what I mean? For them, maybe it's a gift, the gift that we could give, and simultaneously we could receive. So in any way, every way, you don't allow those people in your life to be themselves. Will you destroy and uncradle that place? You know, Rhino Gupe Papagona Shorts Boys and Beyonds. No matter how stuck they may look, you know, no matter how miserable they may look, is it possible for us to allow them some space, some time, right? And you know what? We could always offer them, hey, you know, if you ever choose to, I'm here. I could facilitate you. And I have a couple of tools that may contribute to you. So call me or talk to me or text me, you know, how about that?
Thank you very much for reminding me that my awareness has exceeded my allowance. So, because I am so irritated recently. So thank you for that tool, for that reminder. I got to increase my allowance, especially for the holidays. So thank you.
Right. So a lot of you using a lot of the access tools, your awareness grows fast. And even for me, it has expanded so much so fast. And yeah, you know, a lot of you experience that in your life. So would you just expand your awareness more and more and more, bigger, 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 bigger? And find yourself in those moments dealing with your friends or family, relatives over at your Thanksgiving dinner, or, you know, in other occasions in your life. In those moments, you know, you have a choice not to get caught and just keep saying, oh, that's an interesting point of view. I have a point of view, and expand your awareness as big as the universe. And it's a practice. In the beginning, it may be a little bit difficult, but the more you do it, you would find yourself be so much more space, so much more ease. And things that used to activate you and make you upset or agitated, it's not going to work, not as much as before. So you'll experience so much more space and freedom in your mind. So those of you who are here, you guys are welcome to ask questions. Any questions?
So
would you
Dawn
like
is
to?
saying
Yes.
it's usually not up to us. Who are we to take away that person's right to choose their path?
Yep.
Okay. And one of the things that you brought up, so anywhere that your awareness has exceeded your allowance, and anywhere you're not able to have more allowance than your awareness, would you destroy and uncreate it?
Right on the Papa, Shorts Boys and Beyonds.
And one of the things that came up for me was, what if you could be interested instead of interesting? Like, I know all of these tools. I know this way of, like, we have so much that we want to share with the world and people who come to us with questions. What if we could just listen and maybe ask them questions and be interested in what they have to say?
And that's receiving. And that's contribution. So contribution came up a couple of times in this conversation. Contribution is the simultaneity of gifting and receiving. So what if the greatest gift that you could be is just to receive people however they're choosing to be? And what if that's not just a gift to them, but a gift to you? And so one of the things I do is, because I used to be the person who, I have all these tools here, and push them at people. And people didn't receive them because I thought and I knew that these tools created change doesn't mean other people want them or want to change. So now I often will just, part of my daily kind of routine is to ask what contribution I can be to, I ask to my kids and my mother and, different people in my life and different, the earth, things like that. And so that's an energy that contributes. I'm not saying anything other than asking the question. I'm not doing anything. I'm just putting the energy out there to contribute. And I don't define what that contribution is. I just gift that contribution. And often that contribution shows up to me in different ways, which is amazing.
And Dawn has a question. How can I open up to receive more and let people help?
Can you repeat that? How
can I open up to receive more and let people help?
Well, some things are just a choice. Are you willing to just choose it? To choose to begin to notice where you're not receiving help, where you say no, where you say, I can do it myself, and start saying yes. And also you may want to ask the question, what contribution can I receive today?
And are there certain people that you're not willing to receive help from? So anywhere you're cutting off receiving from a certain person or a certain situation or even your business or anything, you're cutting it off. And so you're not receiving from that part. And I know Nicole, was it Nicole or Christine talked a little bit about all the different parts where you're not receiving from earlier in the call. So what if allowing these people to help you would actually change all of that? And anywhere you're not willing to receive from different people or different stereotypes, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Right,
Right
Ron?
now, good, bad, papa, gold, 9 shorts, boys and
Okay.
beyonds.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyond. I think I just get like a little like I don't even know if it's me not allowing others. It's more like, but I've noticed when I take a step back, sometimes they don't always step up. And I think that's something that, and then I feel this urge to want to do that. Like, because it's like, well, if no one else is going to do it, then I guess I have to, and I probably have to like make more questions as far as, well, where is that coming from? That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, like.
And what if you can receive the awareness of what this person will do beforehand?
Right, that consciousness. That'd be awesome.
So everywhere you're not willing to receive, know, be, and perceive the awareness of what a person is willing to do, willing to be, and willing to contribute to you, will you destroy and uncreate it, please?
Yep.
Right, wrong, good and bad, fun and fuck, all night, shorts, boys and beyonds.
And how many expectations do you have for what people will do that are getting in the way of them actually choosing it?
Right.
So all the projections and expectations you have of others that don't allow you to receive, will you destroy and not create it?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, all name, short.
Boys and beyond.
Is there any need for control in all of that?
Oh, I think there is. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know anything about that myself, but
That's something that definitely with certain individuals, sure. And like, yeah, there's power struggles with certain individuals, of course. I think that has to do with even like depending on like when you're like me having an awareness even is maybe putting a block up. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like of even their like my perception of their control issues. Do you know what I mean? Like
So anywhere any of us have made it so significant and important to be in control that just totally shuts down receiving, we destroy and uncreate it.
yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, only.
Sure.
If we're trying to control how things show up, then how much are we missing that all the little whispers that are there saying, you know, go in this direction or choose this or just relax, allow me to do my work here. Universe, you know, we're asking questions and the universe is there like ready to give to us. And because we have such a point of view about how it needs to look
And when
yeah, it needs to show up, that we're not hearing, we're not being aware of all of those things. So everything we've done to create that, we destroy and uncreate it.
yes.
Ang ganda panapakaw na insurance boys and beyonds.
And then Joe's mother, Sue, wrote this. I'm very new to this, but I like it so far. My question goes back to the situation Nicole brought up. I can identify with similar situations when I feel I'm right, but in order to make peace, I find and own my part in the conflict and apologize. Without any reciprocation, I feel like a doormat. How can I avoid that?
Okay. So that's similar to Jenny's question, which is what is the difference between receiving and being a doormat? So we can address both at once.
So being a doormat is kind of, there's a difference between where you align and agree with something and you accept it, or you resist and react to it, fight it. All right. When you're in either of those spaces or solidities, really, then you're not in allowance. Okay. Allowance is the space of no judgment, and it can include everything. It can include, no, that doesn't work. No, you can't do that. And it includes intensity. It can include intensity without judgment. All right. So it's not you just let people do whatever they want, walk all over you. It's you choose, you can choose what works for you. But how much do we do that from like this force and judgment of they're wrong? So the way you cannot be a doormat is to know that you can choose for you and tell people that, or say whatever you need to say, and do it without any judgment attached.
And what do you have to say in that situation? Okay, to let them know that that's not okay, or even to redirect. So I show up a lot as being this like really quiet, really like almost like a doormat, but that's how I know Nicole knows. So that's the way that I show up. But when people do want to, you know, try me as, you know, oh, that person's meek, like she's a doormat. What energy and what space and what consciousness and what choices can you be and can you make in that situation to let them know, okay, well, that doesn't work for me. And without going into fight, what words, what actions can you do and say to change the whole situation? Okay, so there is intensity that you can use, and there's something called the killing energy, and it's basically the energy that you can be in that moment that's really intense, and like I do it well with my husband. So it's like, no, that doesn't work for me. And then there's other ways where you can be like an energy that actually melts them into a way that they could be nice to you and do what you want, okay, without going into intensity and something that looks like mm, what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're going all into their face saying no. There's a way to just melt the whole situation. And that's a space and a being that you can be. No, it doesn't really. Nicole, can you
Yeah.
speak about that? Because
Yeah.
I
So
see you be that
yeah.
space
So
that melts.
yeah. So so my husband and I, we used to argue often before I started Access. And, I learned lots of different things. So I'll try all that in our relationship, but things that really didn't work that well. And using access tools, like, relationship got so much better because I was able to offer more space and more allowance in our relationship, and also to him and myself. Um, and I'll think that, Sue, you haven't taken the Access Bars class or anything, but there are some questions that you learn, such as, it's interesting point of view, I have a point of view. So in the conversation Sue, I was able to perceive the energy that you're describing in that conversations in which you get caught. And in those conversations, so you're right. What you're talking about is absolutely right. However, you find yourself having to apologize. So before you even going into finding things to apologize about, what if you could say in your mind, what's right about this that I'm not getting, and what's wrong about this I'm not getting? And right now, shorts, boys and beyonds. You'll receive a recording of this, so you could, write it down, or Joe could tell you later. What's right about this I'm not getting, and what's wrong about this I'm not getting. Right on good, bad, papa, go, nice, shorts, boys and beyonds. And as you're engaged in that conversation, no matter how annoying it may be or agitating it may be, you could say something like, that's an interesting point of view. I have a point of view. It really removes the charge that you experience in those moments. And I'll say it like 10 times. Really, I did. Sometimes 20 times. And really, like, the conversation, the energy in our conversation will change. So our relationship got better. And my husband really saw the change in me, that I wasn't very reactive anymore. We experienced more peace and space. But there's one time, I don't know what we were arguing about, but my husband was like upset or really super agitated, and like he was really worked up. He raised his voice. So normally I would have been saying all the things in my mind, like, oh, that's an interesting point of view, I have a point of view, and I'll just walk away, right? But that time I didn't, because my awareness told me that that's not a real contribution in that situation. So here's another question, Sue, you could ask. Would this be a contribution to whoever that you're dealing with if I acted this way? If I walk away now, would this be a real contribution? Or is there something else that is required of me in this moment? And the more you practice this question, the more you use these questions in your life, you really know in that moment. So in that moment, in my relationship with my husband, I knew that I need to talk back. Like, I can be really feisty. So I was like screamed right back. Now he didn't expect that, because he thought I became an angel using all the access tools. And you know what? I wasn't really angry and screamed back. I just screamed back because the energy was required in that moment. And guess what happened? He didn't yell back at me. He just, oh, and he just stayed quiet and listened to what I had to say. And he really got that. I wasn't screaming out of an anger or agitation or power play, none of it. I was just using that kill energy, but in the space of contribution. And then the quarrel ended. The argument totally ended. And we went about our night and we cooked a nice dinner and had a wonderful night. So you see, just because we're saying contribution or receiving or gifting, it doesn't mean that you should become an angel or become this wonderful person who never talk back, who doesn't scream, none of it. There's just absolutely no judgments. And with these questions that I just shared with you, you could use them in your life and see what will be a contribution for you and for that person. And you'll choose what to do or what to say.
There's a question from Adele.
That brought up another point. Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, do you want to respond to that, Annie?
Oh, just that another part would be you don't have to engage with a person. You can choose not to engage with them and just, like Nicole said, walk away or whatever the energy required. And there was a question from Dawn earlier up in the chat. How to allow others to step up more and to allow the universe to deliver. We kind of skip it, so I didn't want to skip that. Here, let me read it again. How to allow others to step up more and to do. I'm guessing just allow the universe to deliver. So does anybody want to answer or talk about that?
I think what I was saying before is that so many times we
Yeah, I mean that was kind of talking about before, but it's like on a more grand scale when I start talking about the universe even delivering. It's kind of like what Christine had kind of touched on when I had said to her, like the when also. It's like sometimes it's like it needs to show up, but then it's not, it feels like it's not showing up in time. Like there's some skips in the game, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like where it's like disconnections, you know, like where it's like to give you an example, like, okay, there's bills piling up, but then, you know, there's all these opportunities they're showing up, but then at the same time, like they're not coming to fast enough sometimes. That goes back to probably the control thing. You know what I mean? Like where it's like, okay, you know, like, can you make it a little bit faster? What am I not doing? You know what I mean? Like, am I putting blocks up that it's slowing down the timeline? Like, those are the kinds of questions I ask about, you know, like that am I doing something that I'm not
So
grander?
How much are you going to the wrongness of you when things don't show up? Or doubting your potency?
Sometimes.
Sometimes what, Dawn? You're breaking up. We can't hear you, Dawn. So I'll just respond to what she was saying. So how much do we stop our receiving when we go to the wrongness of us and the wrongness of the situation? So everything you've done to stop receiving by choosing the wrongness of the situation when you destroy and not create it. Right, wrong, good, bad, only for black short boys and beyond. And so what if you ask questions like, what's right about this I'm not getting? What else is possible? What can I do different today? The way to change things is, the way to become more aware is to ask questions to gain more awareness around the situation of whatever's showing up.
Right.
And letting go of a picture, a vision,
Right.
anything we decided.
Not focus on the doubts and stuff to like get out of the fear.
Yeah, and that's all distractor implants. So they just distract us from what we do know
Right.
is possible.
Yeah.
So all the distractor implants of doubt you're using to stop receiving the cookie choosing, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad.
Choice, boys and beyond.
Someone asked what it means to receive. So the true receiving is being able to receive all the information that there is. Receiving doesn't have to do with money. It has to do with everything. It has to do with the awareness of everything that's possible. When you truly are able to receive, you are able to be in the question. That's the thing that creates the possibilities for everything that the quantum entanglements of the universe can gift to you that you're not currently receiving.
And what are the best ways to expand and increase receiving? Respond to that, someone?
Sure. So one of the best ways to receive anything at any moment is to relax, which is opposite of what most people do, which is contract and like defend. So when there's something, be it money, be it relationships, be it just situations happening around, be it like all these ideas, thoughts, everything being unfurled at you, what if you just relax? And that's the same with lowering the barriers, like relax your body, lower your barriers, relax your mind, and then receive. And that's a practice because, like, you know, we're taught to do all the other things, like barriers up and contract and constrict instead of relax. So every time you notice that your body is contracting or your brain is like shutting off different things, like trying to push all these different energies away, notice that, make a different choice, and relax instead.
And how I had a situation a few weeks ago that really opened some huge doors for me in receiving, where in what I thought was me contributing to other people was me not receiving the gifts that they wanted to be for me. And with me not receiving, I was being a superior asshole, basically, by not receiving what they were trying to give to me, by saying, oh, no, I got it, it's okay. What I realized was I was being superior in that. So anywhere you are being what you've decided is generous and a contribution that is not allowing others to gift to us, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Right on good bed, Papa, go 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
Christine, that's like exactly the thing that I needed to hear. Yes, I've been looking exactly at that thing of superior asshole recently. And you just connected those two things so beautifully. Thank you.
That it could contribute, because that was huge for me, huge.
Thank you.
And I never saw that piece of it before. And now it's so interesting how things are showing up in such a different way. Magical thing.
Awesome. For me, before Access, I would I'm talking about more materials and things, right? So in my life, people would want to give things to me, and I'll say, "Oh, no, I don't need it. I don't need it." And I really didn't think that I needed them, and I have everything. I really didn't need gifts. I have my own specific taste. I was very particular about what kind of things I buy for myself and stuff. So oftentimes people try to give me gifts and I'll be disappointed and I would not use them. So I would tell people, "Oh, I don't need anything. Please don't give me anything." But what I realized was that I have been actually blocking my receiving because I have a filter, right? Like the particular taste or particular points of view. So Yosa talked about walls and barriers. Yeah, like, how much do we put up that walls and barriers of our points of view, our decisions, judgments, conclusions, and compilations. So everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate all that place? Right on good by Papagonesh's words and beyonds. And where have we denied our total receiving? And universe gives to us, the earth always gives to us, it continues to, even when we trash the planet, we do terrible things to the planet, but the earth continues to give to us. It never stops.
I don't think we responded to Erica's comment. I just discovered today earlier that every time I try to hide away from certain opportunities, people, situations where my carrier, financial situation, etc., could get definitely way better right after the initial excitement and certainty about success. So Erica, what's your question around that?
Sorry, I'm here. It's just my perspective of, my, let's say, flaws of receiving lately. All of the other questions were so exciting because I just look back and I was totally like that, having fear of being a doormat, blah, blah, blah. So, I'm so glad that you all talked over those things. But I feel like, my biggest problem right now is that whenever my financial situation could get better, or meaning getting on the field that I found so many opportunities to and got doors open up a lot for me lately, but I'm like hiding away because I just try to almost destroying the whole opportunity for myself somehow. And I don't know what is that. It's like fear, from something what could start flowing, I think. I don't know. It's like not being able to receive the opportunity part, I don't know.
Well, the first piece to changing anything is to become aware of it. And what about, well, woohoo, you became aware of it. That's what you're choosing to hide. So if you now have noticed it, what if you can continue to notice it and then reverse the flow? So one of the things, this is, I believe I received this from the How to Become Money workbook, where you reverse the flow of the energy.
Mhm.
So when you notice that you're being a certain energy that's not contributing to you, reverse the flow, push it out.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thanks. Yeah. Because, yeah, being aware of that is a great success already for me. Because I just didn't realize that, until very recently, like today almost, or yesterday night, whatever. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, and how about if we, would you destroy and uncreate any of the stereotypical cadences you have used to hide?
Yes.
Great one,
Yes.
bad, all names, facts, words, boys, meons.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also, I don't know if you're interested in receiving money, like the energy of money. Can we talk about that briefly?
Yeah, that's another big skeleton in the closet. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're so not almost end of November, we're going into December. So a lot of people, I'm sure, are thinking about their financial situation, and, like money issue becomes huge, especially at this time of the year. So how can we increase the receiving of money?
Mhm. And not delaying. I delay a lot about, starting to use the tools of receiving money, especially. I know. So I discovered that also.
You're not the only one. And guess what? A lot of
Really?
people are.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now I'm so happy. No, I'm joking.
So, like when we, so everybody has a lot of points of views and beliefs around money. And all that, whether they're good or bad, they actually block our receiving. And in Access, there's a book called The Money Workbook. That was written by Gary, and you can actually go read the book, and you really get to clear up a lot of points of views that you've had about money, and it could actually really open up something totally new for you.
Yeah, I have the book. I have the workbook.
Have you done it?
Thank you.
Have
No,
you done the
not
workbook?
yet.
Okay. So we'll be offering a money workbook, the first one, I think soon, and we'll go into the advanced. There's another book, Advanced Money Workbook. So we'll be offering another class as well. But when you do that book over and over again, it really changes energy with the whole thing in your life.
I practice so many other stuff of Access, and it works amazingly. Yeah, I studied, so I need to use the tools more. Thank you.
And what I noticed recently is that, well, I've known this, but sometimes there are little things that show up in our life with receiving that we don't acknowledge that we created that. So acknowledging where we do create money showing up, and not just cash, but in different ways. Like last week, somebody gave me and my friend a free lunch, that we did not expect at all. And we ordered our food, and then somebody came over and said, your lunch is taken care of. And then today I ordered a medium coffee and I got a large coffee, and I only paid for a medium coffee. And I told them, and they said, oh, we made a mistake. So acknowledging those little places that seem little of where we've created something, and that will allow more to show up. And any stereotypical cadences we have with money, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Right now, good bad papa, gold night shorts, boys and beyonds.
I want to run that one a few 100,000 times.
What did you say? Any what that we have?
Stereotypical cadences. So that's where, this is something brand new. Are you on the BDSW call?
I am.
Yeah, that was the last call. Dane talked about it. Or they also had a stereotype call.
Right.
Mary.
Mhm.
So it's those rhythms that we've gotten into or patterns. So we have a stereotypical cadence around money that we've created. So if we destroy and uncreate that, what else is possible?
Actually, I was taking this 3-day body class, and the facilitator pulled out $100 bill, and all of a sudden she walked up to me and she goes, "Nicole, I want to give it to you," right? And I was just like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" Like, I was like, totally not receiving the money. Didn't expect somebody would do that, and I felt wrong to receive that money. So how about you? If somebody walk up to you, whether somebody you know or you don't know, open that person's wallet and give you $100 bill, would you accept it right away?
Yes.
And what does it bring up? So everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate all?
Yes.
Right on good papagonal boys and beyonds. So how willing are we to receive that money when somebody offers that money to us? So in any way, every way, you reject that, put up that walls and barriers, so you don't want to receive it. Will you destroy and uncreate all that, please? Right on good papagonal boys and beyonds. Well, how about $1,000 or $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million? You see the energy changes, right? So everything this brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right on good papagonal boys and beyonds.
So do you have do you have room for another question?
Yeah, how about we answer this question and then we have one more question in the chat.
Okay. So I have the opposite question, which is, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm teaching classes at the YMCA, and there's different techniques that I teach. And then people know that I'm trying to start my own practice as well. And so they said, well, you know, they want to pay to come to my other classes. So, and they said, well, you may not want to teach this to us. And I said, well, if you're asking, I will teach it to you. And I also caught myself doing the same thing to other classes. They'll ask me different things. And I said, well, you do know that I have a private practice. If you want more information, I can teach you. And then this wonky energy kind of came up. So there's in me, there's a resistance to giving things away sort of like for free. But I know it's a contribution to them, but there's a wonky energy in me. I still do it, but I make the comment like, well, you can learn this in my class too. You can learn it in more detail. What is that all about? Am I just not being generous? Because there's also a resistance in me to give things away for free as well, because I'm trying to build my other business, my private practice.
Did you ask a question whether it'll contribute to them? Like,
not in that moment, but when you just did, yes, it will be a
Yeah.
contribution to them.
Yeah, I think asking questions may contribute to you in those moments.
Okay. But what is the energy inside of me? I feel like there's almost like a stinginess in me. Like I'm not completely, I will do it for them, but there's reluctance or a stinginess for me to give them, you know, more.
Is there a clearing for stinginess, Christine?
Any kind of clearing. But what comes up for me is to use the stereotype clearing.
Yeah.
All stereotypical cadences you are using to create the stinginess you are choosing, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yeah.
Right, wrong, good and bad, fun and puck, all
Puck, all
nitrous
nitrous,
with
yeah.
and beyonds. And what stereotypical cadences are you using to prevent you from being the contribution you truly be? Are you choosing?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big one. So everything that is times of God's zillion, destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good and bad, fun and puck, all nitrous with and beyonds.
Thank you all very much for this great call. I have really learned a lot. Thank you.
So I just want to make sure we get to two questions because I said we would. This is by Yosa. Isn't that the most common way to stop the flow of receiving? We put up walls all the time. So it's about barriers. What about barriers and walls? Maybe, but that energy came up from me. So I'm kind of going back and forth. So does anybody want to talk a little bit about barriers and stopping the flow?
Cole, you want to say a few words? I talked a little bit about it at the beginning. Maybe you have a different take on it.
Oh, me? Yeah, so the barriers are, you may be aware of the barriers that you have created, or barriers are made up by your past experiences, or some coming from your past lives. You know, you might have been hurt in some lives before, or you were in situations where you experienced something that was extremely hurtful or something, and you made up your mind about receiving, and it will totally work as a barrier, really thick and tall. But it's possible to remove them, right? So all the walls and barriers, first of all, I think just now it became very significant about walls and barriers. We're using those words to explain the energy of not being able to receive. So all the significance and your points of views about walls and barriers, would you destroy and uncreate them all, please? Right on good papa all night shorts, boys and beyonds. And as we said earlier, you could literally use your hands, go walls down and barriers down, walls down and barriers down. And you know, you may think that like I'm just like moving my hands, but actually energetically really, really works. So everyone, please try this together. We're gonna do this together, okay? So walls down, barriers down, walls down, and barriers down, walls down, and barriers down. You probably be present to the energy and space all around you. There's that softness, there's more space opened up. Even my voice is more grounded, and you probably perceive the energy around you as well. So this is what happens when you actually say walls down and barriers down, and really ask, how can I receive? Period. Universe, show me, how can I receive beyond this reality? And anything doesn't allow that times gazillion, will you destroy and uncredit all, please? Right now, good pep papak. All nine shorts boys.
Boys and beyonds. We're like each other's pod puckers.
Yeah,
Okay,
you know, we think that we're blocked by these walls and barriers, but no. The truth is, you have the power, you have the potency, you are the infinite being, and you have access to that infinite energy. And you have a choice to just demand walls down, barriers down. And it's that simple. And you could apply this to anything and everything in your life.
cool. So Sharon has a question, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about, we've talked about all the different ways you can receive, but one part that we haven't really talked much was receiving from your body. And so Sharon, did you want to unmute? I saw you popped on the video. Oh, it's a bit quiet.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Cool. It was just like about 15 days ago or something, I got some burr holes put in my brain to allow the fluid to build up. 2 days ago, I found out that I have a tumour and I have to get the chemo and radiation. That's not the bothering bit. The bothering bit is the fact that I just got told that legally I can't drive for 3 years, and that means my freedom. And the other thing I'm bothering with is because my parents died 18 months ago, no, 2.5 years ago, and I've been dealing with the trust, and somebody's gone and told them that I'm crazy and this and that, and somebody's broken in and trashed the house, and they've locked me out of the house. And the last few days I've been gathering reports and things and getting things in place so they know that these things are false. And well, I found out the trustees never even told the police that somebody had broken in. It's receiving these sort of perceived knives in the back from other people, like my brother, for example. He's told people that I have a history of mental illness, which I don't. Things like this, it's that sort of receiving I'm having a challenge with, and especially the driving. And but then I wanted to get to your call, but if I didn't get to your call, I would have walked outside and started yelling out CCFBs in the paddock.
What happened to your license?
Well, because I had the burr holes in my brain, it's just tiny little microscopic holes to allow the cerebrospinal fluid to move. They said I couldn't drive for 3 years, but because I've got the brain tumor in there, and it's a number 3 of a rare one right in the very middle of my head, so it's not going to get operated on. And I asked questions about that, and I'm going to take the medication, they said, but at a lesser dose, and be doing greens and things and get on to access. I've done the 3-day body, so I've been asking lots of questions and looking at possibilities, and asking contributions from my teammates, benevolent beings of light and the elementals. So I just thought that I would, since you guys are here, and look, and I've lived in Australia, and Christine, I came on your very first Zoom, and I've done another one on relationship PTSD, and at the present I'm in Nelson Hospital, New Zealand, which is where I grew up. So that's how I'm here. And like especially relationship PTSD, that is brilliant. I listened to it 3 or 4 times, and I think it's fantastic, and thank you for that. And yeah, so I mean, you guys are here, so far away. Have you got anything else other than potting and pocking things, asking for contributions, asking questions of what else is possible? Any other things that just go ping to you?
Do you have any facilitators near you who could offer you body processes?
Yes. Last night I did my first bars swap, and last week I got somebody who came and gave me a couple of sessions of Essie, and then somebody else who also does the bars, he's also a cranio osteopath, he came and gave me a session. So I'm doing well on that. And those are definitely a contribution.
About the driving, are they actually taking your license away? Or are they just telling you you can't drive?
Telling you I can't drive. No, of course I'm going to keep my license. It's a very good form of ID.
What if that can just be an interesting point of view? That they told you can't drive for 3 years, and then be in your awareness of, will it be a contribution for me to drive today? Not a contribution, and be in the question of it rather than just buying it.
Can you hear me now? Do I have to hold the button on? Oh, good. So it just picks up. I wasn't certain about that. I don't really know how to use headphones. It's all very smartphony. I'm in the 21st century, aren't I? Cool, because I've never really done it much. Okay, cool. Right. Yes. So you reckon be sneaky?
Just, I mean, there's going to be all kinds of points of views projected at you with health. So what if they could all just be an interesting point of view, and you choose what you choose?
Yes, that's true. But I also choose to acknowledge that until I got this emergency thing, I was driving bad. I was going to get my eyes checked because I was clipping little things, and I'm going, And so I could put a couple of scratches on my car, and I'm so very glad that I got transferred to Wellington, which is the capital of New Zealand, to have the burr holes put in, because, and I can hardly remember the 2 weeks before this operation I had, and before. So I'm very grateful for the fact that I'm going through this process, because it explains some of the weird and wacky body symptoms I've had. So yes, and I've certainly come across lots of interesting points of view, even from access people, why sometimes after the bars, I'm kind of like, oh, it's like, and there's something else been going on now, and it's kind of like, wow.
Sharon, do you have someone who's taking care of you?
Well, bits and pieces of people, because I've been living in North Queensland since I was 18, and I'm obviously not anywhere near that. And so I'm back here in New Zealand where I grew up, and all the friends that I've got here I've made in the last few months.
Wow.
But I've got someone looking after my house in tropical North Queensland where it's very hot, and I'm just getting at present that this is the place to be to heal, because it's cooler and it is very beautiful. And I've got to sort out my parents' life because they died 2.5 years ago, and I've still got to finish selling their stuff, sort photographs and things. Lots of tasks for me to do, and I've been locked out of the home because of the erroneous decisions of the trustees, and because someone's trashed and made a mess inside the house. So I need to go back and fix that, and it gets more, there's more than this. It's all very pretty funny, coming thick and fast. But what's stressing me is basically the trustees' erroneous decisions. That's the stressor. I'm not stressed about the tumour. A little bit about the prospect of losing hair.
So I wonder what your body is aware of, and I wonder how much you have resisted hearing from your body, and what energy space and consciousness and choice can you be to receive, perceive, be, and aware and know. And anything doesn't allow that times Godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate them all?
Yes,
Right, and go
please.
by Papa Golneshwar's boys and beyonds.
I would say though, as that again, in my early 20s, I became a body worker. I have diplomas in massage and things. And as a child and stuff, I didn't eat dessert, and I ate salads and all sorts of stuff. I've always been a person who has taken care of my body. And sometimes that's been binging out and drinking too much alcohol at Christmas and stuff like that, which is fun for me sometimes, that sort of thing. That it's I ask my body questions all the time about whether it wants to eat and all those sorts of things. So but that's a good idea. Maybe I'm not receiving enough.
I wonder what could be really nurturing for you, for your body.
Obviously changing, yes.
Yeah.
And what if being in the question will contribute to everything that you're asking about, with the trustees and the driving and everything that's showing up?
Yes.
And one other thing that popped in my head when you first started talking was, not wanting to, or somehow to change all the judgment that is being projected at you.
Yes.
And you ever hear this saying, cha-ching, cha-ching? Have you heard that? It's like...
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you for the reminder. I'm going to get paid $5,000 every time I get a judgment. Awesome. I'm going to be really wealthy. And I'm going to lose 10 every time I don't. Oh,
yeah, so for everybody, if you are willing to receive the judgment, as Nicole or Annie, I don't remember, mentioned, you get $5,000 more per year for everything you receive. So when you receive the judgment, you can say to yourself, cha-ching, cha-ching. It's like the money going...
Oh, I'm going to be a billionaire. Thank you for that news. That's fantastic.
And look how much it lightens you up. You know, it's... Yeah.
And I wonder if Sharon can do some energy pulls.
Oh yeah, I have been. As soon as I woke up from the operation, I was there energy pooling things. And now I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that? But the tumor is actually here. Now let me see which way round does it go. Okay, so okay, up this way. Those are my eyes, and there's my tumor, and it's heart shaped. Okay, so there's a heart-shaped tumor here, and I've named it Fred Ted Tumor, and he's a former lover of mine. And yeah, and well, which I think is funny because it's far better to have a Fred Ted Tumor than have the big C word. And yeah. Yeah, so and I've picked up that it's all like stress, the accidents, everyone dying, all sorts of things, which has made my brain inflamed. That's why I have it. So,
Oh my goodness, who does that belong to? I wonder.
is it mine? Well, yeah, it is. Some of it's mine because I've bought it as mine, but I'll have to just keep always being sending everything back to sender with consciousness attached. But back to that 10-second increment.
Shorts, boys and beyond,
Yes.
Sharon.
Thank you. But back to that 10-second increments and always being in the question. This is fun to do. And, you know, everyone's interesting point of view of, well, questions are there to raise awareness because some people actually tell you off for asking questions. Cha-ching. So what are, it's yeah, the other day somebody
Sharon.
said, yes?
So Don is suggesting, what if you allowed someone to show up that helps drive you around? Can you receive
Oh yes,
that?
I'm gonna have to do that. I can get a carer and they can go on a carer's pension too to do that. Yeah.
So what would bring more ease, joy, glory? Have you asked that?
I've been doing that in the morning and at night. Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the cha-ching. I'm a billionaire. Thank you, Christine. It's really hilarious. Right.
Oh, that's a
goodie.
good receiving call for sure.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, thank you for that because even just those few ideas will be a contribution. And now I'm going to write a report. I've been gathering information about to send forward to the trustees to show them. Well, for one thing, I'm not going to put this in that, but if they don't backtrack what they've done, they're going to court for discrimination against people or something like that. But I'd rather shortcut it. Go, well, look, you didn't even ask. Well, now it's been thing. You never asked me. Two of the trustees have barred their phone from my phone calls, for heaven's sakes.
Just be
without
aware
asking
when you are coming to conclusions about things and when you're
Yep.
question and following your awareness.
Yes.
You know,
Well, my awareness is that's discriminatory and it's it's just it's bizarre. It's just beyond. Some of this is beyonds for me. Yeah, which I'm finding a laugh in because what else can you do? Thank you. Someone else had something to say.
Would you be willing to receive energetic contributions from everyone on the call?
Oh, that would just be wow. Thank you.
And then we could just end the call with the energetic contributions for your situation, maybe some 5 9/11s for the trustees.
Oh, don't you worry. I've been 5 9 11 things. Yes.
Okay, so is that okay with everyone?
Let's send contribution to everyone on this call, to each other, right? We can do that. We're humanoids.
Wow. Yeah, that's it. We can whammy everyone.
Oh, even the baby's sending energy.
And we had some baby contributions.
Thank you so much. It's lovely. Whereabouts, Christine? I I know one of you is called Annalette. Is that you? Are you Annalette, the one that's on the screen now? What state are you in?
Annie and I are in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right, so that's
We're
where
all
New
near
York
New York
is.
City.
Yeah, we're right
New York.
outside New York City.
New York.
Oh, wow.
Nicole's in New York
Well,
City.
one day I might be in your area. I've always wanted to come there. So,
Great.
yeah, cool.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on this call.
Thank you.
And have a great night.
Sending everybody lots of love and awareness.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Walls down, barriers down, receiving it now. Thank you.
Yes, sending you all kinds of good energy.
Awesome.
It's
Bye,
lovely.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Here.
Much
Bye,
gratitude.
everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh.